Today we're talking to Steve Watson. Steve Watson is a Grade 1 Unlimited Accredited Principal Certifying Authority. He's also a Chartered Engineer. He's the Managing Director of Steve Watson and Partners, which he started in 2002. And today we are talking to Steve. We're going to be talking to him about some building surveying industry issues and questions, and we're also interested in the challenges of finding staff in today's market. Welcome, Steve.
Good afternoon.
First question. The accreditation process for private certifiers or principal certification in New South Wales has been through some changes in the last few years. What's the current status, and has the industry benefited from those changes?
Well, the accreditation process for private certifiers is constantly changing because they just don't seem to be able to leave it alone for longer than a couple of years at a time.
Right.
The current state of play is that everyone has to be accredited through the Building Professionals Board.
Right.
And there's a series of levels of accreditation in there, 4 I think. So Principal Certifying Authority grades 1 through to 4.
Yeah.
1 being unlimited and the highest level, 4 being really only to do minor things under supervision. Right. So to become accredited, you need to be able to demonstrate some skills and experience in effect, and some qualifications, and depending on the grade you're going for, that bar gets higher and higher. The difficulty, I suppose, is demonstrating that whatever qualification you've got matches up with their criteria, and that is a painful process, but not an impossible one.
Right. Okay.
So there's also a parallel system for the council certifiers. It's a much lower bar for the council certifiers to nominally gain those levels of accreditation, but they're not permitted to operate outside of council.
Okay.
The changes have been recently to introduce the lowest level, grade 4, and also to introduce the council certifiers into the scheme. And the process is painful but not impossible.
Right.
And as long as you've got some good experience, if you've got some good relevant experience and you've got the right qualifications, you should be able to get in. You really need to be able to demonstrate some knowledge of the Act and regulations and the law around what we do. We're really bush lawyers at the end of the day, and that's the tricky bit, is whether you're sitting the exam or doing some courses or whatever your pathway to entry might be. One relatively painless way of demonstrating all of that is to do a grad dip in building surveying, which most of these guys in my office eventually will come around and do, and that'll sort of get you there in 2 years part-time, fairly painlessly.
I mean, I suppose we're talking safety of life here, so it should be fairly onerous, I suppose, to pass.
Look, I like a challenge personally, so I'm quite happy with a high bar to get into the game. I was quite happy to jump the bar initially, and I was happy that it was up reasonably high, and perhaps has gotten a little bit higher over the years.
Good. With the Australian Institute of Building Surveyors, I was looking on their website, and they have a national accreditation scheme. Can you explain how that fits in?
They are, in effect, a private organisation. They're an industry body, but they're not endorsed by any of the state governments. All of the accreditation processes are state-based, not nationally based. There are different criteria for every state, and that makes it terribly difficult. The AIBS would like to impose their national scheme across all of the states, but none of the states have really bought it. I think South Australia, where they have a strong presence, might have embraced their scheme, possibly 1 or 2 of the other states, but certainly in New South Wales they're not happy with that at all. We've written our own set of rules.